Hey, we're adding a new program track to Persist called Pump Lift, and it is all about building muscle. So I'm gonna get a little warm up in, get the blood flowing. I'm gonna walk you through how we structure this type of workout so you can get a crazy pump. Let's go. All the viewers need to know that having palm trees, suns, and umbrella drinks on your pants increases your strength by 12%. It's called around the world. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Keep going around. All right, so we got a little blood flow in. You saw me doing that round the world on the cardio machines. Now, moving into something called a pre-fatigue. Pre-fatigue is basically just taking some of the muscle groups that we're gonna hit hard today in our strength intensity. So shoulders, I'm working calves. We're gonna be doing some squatting, some deep range of motion squatting. But I'm doing a Bradford Z press and a calf raise. I'm just slowly ramping up some of the weight, but this is higher rep, blood flow, get a little pre-pump going on before we go into our core strength intensity lifts, which will be coming next. Now the goal with this pre-fatigue is not to get so tired that it impacts your strength intensity. I find it's really a great opportunity to just prepare the brain for the strength work. Yeah, you could just go and do your strength movements and do a lot of extra warm-up sets, but by moving with a couple different exercises, like on any given day, we might choose some different patterns that help to extend range of motion, work some different positions. I'm gonna do a press as part of my strength intensity, but today for pre-fatigue, I'm doing Bradford press, which just helps me work the behind the neck position. So this is not what I'm gonna do for the heavy lifts, but I can do it as part of this pre-fatigue. Just make sure I'm hitting all these different ranges, native ranges of motion of my shoulder, keep my mobility up, focus on a couple isolation lifts like the calf raise. Just a good way to hit the entire body in addition to what's to come, which is heavier, harder, more intense strength lifting. One of the cool things about Pump Lift is that we're really getting down to just focusing on lifting. And as an option, what you're gonna see me using today is a variety of different machines. You already saw the calf raise machine. Now I'm using the Smith machine. There might be some other machines that are mixed into this program, and they're always gonna be an alternative if you're working in a conventional gym where you have access to this stuff. All of our programs, Persist programs, are always written with the home gym person in mind. So you can do Pump Lift at home. You don't need a Smith machine. You don't need a seated calf. We have all alternatives to that work just as well. But if you're in a facility like ours or a conventional gym where you have access to this stuff, you're gonna get to play with some of these tools, which I think is just really fun and a great way to build in some stability so you can overload and push and really focus on muscles that you wanna grow.
I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance. I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance. I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance.
First exercise of the day is a back-supported barbell press. This can also be done with kettlebells or with dumbbells. I'm using the Smith machine press. 4 working sets in the 8 to 10 rep range, trying to get somewhere between 1 or 2 reps left in reserve. So that was my first set, 105 pounds. I probably could have done a couple more reps, so I'm gonna increase my weight a little bit. I got 3 more working sets to do. That was probably a 9 or a 10. I don't think I could have gotten another one. Okay, I'm moving into my second big intensity lift. This is gonna be for the lower body. We're doing a reverse lunge to a deficit. I'm gonna be focused on quad dominance on this one. So I'm gonna adjust my position, make this a quad focused reverse lunge. And that's gonna really stick with this pattern of the Friday session in pump lift. This cycle is shoulders, quads, and triceps focused. So that's what we're gonna be really getting into today. I'm gonna show you how I do it with this particular lift. So the format on this particular lift, we're doing alternating legs every 75 seconds. So right leg for 8 to 10 reps. Then when I get to the 75-second mark or a minute and 15, switch to the left. We're going back and forth for 4 sets per side. No matter what implement you end up using for your strength intensity, just make sure you're tracking your results, because we're gonna be using progressive overload every week to make sure you're doing a little bit more than the previous week. That way you can make sure you're progressing and you're giving your muscles the stimulus that they need to either grow or maintain, depending on what your goals are. Now, timed supersets like every 75 seconds that I'm using on this reverse lunge, they are gonna limit the amount of rest you have in between sets. That's okay, because you don't always need to rest 2-3 minutes to get a good strength stimulus. In this case, I'm getting a 2-minute rest when I go from right back to my right leg. So there's plenty of time between the actual working muscles of my right side. I am fatiguing a little bit by having these short rest periods. That's why I provide you with rep ranges, 8 to 10 reps. So you can always aim for that 10 rep range, but if you start to fatigue at the same weight, you can still hit 8 reps on all of your sets and get plenty of high intensity volume to really stimulate the muscle growth and the strength gains that you're looking for. Now we're moving on to strength balance. We're gonna be hitting focused tricep work. This is a superset where I'm gonna be doing a JM press. You can do this with a free barbell or the Smith machine. Obviously, I'm opting for the Smith machine today. Then once you finish 5 to 10 reps on a JM press, make those tough. You're gonna flip over and you're gonna immediately do an inverted skull crusher. That's basically just a tricep two-face type push-up while your hands are on the Smith machine bar or another bar or even a bench. I call this the strength balance section of training. So we did 2 pretty big intensity lifts. We did the press, we did the lunge. Those are where we're gonna really be trying to push progressive overload every week, being very good note takers. The strength balance section, yeah, you wanna be pushing yourself from week to week, but because we're combining movements, we're doing this type of agonist superset where we're really hitting triceps in 2 different ways, it can be hard to be very precise about your loading and how much you're going up. So the goal here is just to get high level of effort on every set. I'm trying to push somewhere in that 1 to 2 reps from failure on both the JM and the inverted skull crusher. So that's what we're getting into now. And I don't wanna see your funny faces. No, 'cause I don't wanna know how your story goes. No, I don't wanna hear the bitching in my ear. No, don't wanna hear it now. We're moving on to the final section of pump lift, which is a hypertrophy finisher. Basically just one more superset to try and get into some of the muscles that we've already trained heavily in our strength intensity section. We're gonna go a quad shoulder superset. We're gonna do a leg extension. I'm using the machine. You can also do a banded leg extension. And then we're gonna go into a dumbbell lateral seated. After 2 sets, I'll talk about what we're gonna be doing for intensification, but we're basically gonna do a drop set on our final set today. So I'm choosing the recline position on this so that my hips are somewhat extended. Give me a little bit more of a stretch at my quad. This is the position I'm using, and I'm gonna work up and do 10 to 15 reps. Find something that's hard in the 10 to 15 rep range. And then on the last set, we'll do that drop set, which I'll explain in a minute. Okay, for my last set of the day on each exercise, I'm gonna perform a single drop set. To do this correctly, I've already figured out what weight is getting me pretty darn close to failure in the rep range that I'm after, which is 10 to 15. So I'll go do a set of 15 hard reps to failure, basically. Have to take the first set to failure. So a set of leg extensions to failure. Then I'm gonna drop it by 30% immediately, and then keep going with my reps till I hit failure a second time. That's a drop set. I'll do the same thing over here. This is where it gets really spicy, but it's the last thing of the day before a little bit of a stretch, and then we're off for our weekend. If you do a drop set correctly, they're horrific. They're the worst. They're so hard. I see people using drop sets because they don't like to go to failure. They kind of get close-ish and they don't push themselves, and they're like, oh, just go down and wait. And it's kind of like an easy out. But if you do it right, you go all the way to failure on each set. They're brutal. Pump lift was born out of a need, just like everything else that we've done with functional bodybuilding. There was a certain group of individuals within our Persist membership and also on our staff who were doing our training program, Pump. And Pump has always been a program that was focused on lifting with a touch of conditioning at the end, and those conditioning sessions were really designed to complement a muscle building, hypertrophy focused training program from functional bodybuilding. We had a group of people that were like, hey, I really want to just focus on my lifting right now. Like, the lifting has been great. I always tend towards doing more conditioning. I'll go for runs, I'll go for walks, I like to mountain bike, but I really just want to maximize my time in the gym lifting, and I love the style that you guys lift in with Pump. How can I do more of it? Is there a way I can take the conditioning out and put in another superset or put in a bit more hypertrophy work? So we started with Cliff Kohut, who's our director of operations, who was telling me that he wanted to do that. I was like, okay, let me write you a program based off Pump that would do that. He also started going through a muscle building nutrition phase. And after several months, he was just having such great success that I was like, well, I kind of want to do this. And it was perfectly timed with me kind of injuring my shoulder. My shoulder was just, I was pushing it too much on a variety of different areas of training, and I needed to like dial back my conditioning intensity and maybe my skill-based dynamic movements. So it was like perfect time for me to just focus on pump lift, hypertrophy training only, and I'll get all my conditioning and all my activity through walking. And so for the last 5 months, that's all I've done. Walk and lift, pump lift. And now we have probably 150 people in our membership testing this program. And with the feedback that they've given us and with the time spent developing the program, I feel really confident that this is something that people are gonna love. And it absolutely is gonna check all the boxes that people are looking for who want great pump, big lifts, and they wanna save their conditioning for outside the gym. And for those of you who love to train in a conventional gym, mix in some machines and some more stability with your training like a Smith machine, we got you covered. This is the place to be.